All right. Really cold day. Build ourselves a fire. Really cold day. Right now the temperature is about minus 19. It is the 29th of January or the 30th. Really sure, but winter's lasting long, so I don't really know. Let's build up some fire here and get this going. And this is one of the things I really enjoy doing on a cold day. All right, let's pile some wood on here. This should catch pretty easy. It's nice dry stuff. Cedar wood from my deck project that I did last year. Just chop it up and it burns like you wouldn't believe. So we'll have a nice little fire. Okay, let's see what we're doing here. See if we can get this going. Should be pretty straightforward. Catch right away. Let's just see what we're doing here. Make sure that sucker's going. Our little piper here. There. We'll see how well this catches. Close that up. Let's get her going. And now we'll have a nice fireside chat. Nice. All right, caught pretty good. All right. Like most alcoholics, we do want more. So let's jam it in. Let's get something going. All right, throw a couple of these babies in there too. Now we're talking. Ooh, that cedar goes up good, I can tell you. Yeah, we are good to go here. So we'll let some embers start on this baby, and we'll keep adding to it. Yep. There we go. All right. My name is Paul. I am an alcoholic, and this is why I'm sober. It's for days like this, in between jobs. I'm a contractor, sober going on 17 years. And yeah, it's a cold day in January today. And I thought I'd throw a little video together, do these fireside chats every once in a while. What do I want to talk about today? Let's talk about new sobriety and what needs to occur in new sobriety. So, if you're anything like I was, I had one way of doing things, and I thought everything was going well. I thought I could figure out life on my own. And I was told that, what do you need to change? You need to change everything. So, one of the first things I had to change was the habits around drinking, some associations, some triggers. You know, first of all, having booze in the house, I had to get rid of it all. Obviously, if I'm not around it, I'm not going to need it as much. It's not in my face showing. So that was one of the first things I did. I also used to use a lot in my apartment when I got sober. So I changed some of the furniture around it, painted the walls. I had to disassociate myself from that lifestyle. Everything from, you know, I used to drink and use at night. So now I got to find something to do at night for a while, you know, and meetings were what I did. You know, went to a meeting at night, sometimes two during a day, you know, and at night. So at least I'm occupied till 9 o'clock at night, you know, go to 8 o'clock meeting, get ready to go to the meeting, talk to some people beforehand, show up an hour early. And that's the kind of stuff that I had to do. I had to make a new network, really. I had to get together with some people who were trying to change their life just like I was. And, you know, especially some of the older people who were older in sobriety, I had to get close to these guys. I had to ask them questions about how did you do it? You know, how did you get to where you are now and to be such a happy person? One of the things that I learned, you know, and this changing everything, and even walking by a liquor store or walking by bars that I used to associate with, I couldn't go around them. I had to put some people on hold who I used to hang out with because, you know, and most of them were like, good for you. Yeah, we could tell you had a problem, you know. And the ones that had a problem with me not hanging out with them were people that didn't really matter anyway. They were only looking for a drinking buddy or a using buddy, you know. And making myself separated from that was important. I'm going to put this video on hold for a second and get my dog. All right, and through the magic of editing, we are back. And I've let my dog in. It's really, really cold outside. And I put some more wood on the fire, which you can hear in the background there nicely. Part of my responsibility as an alcoholic and where I can change some stuff is to disassociate myself with stress, mostly. People in my life, I had to put them on hold for a little while. Places that I went to, or even walking by a liquor store, I would have problems with that, you know, like it would be. And another thing was money was a trigger. I identified what triggers me, and I just had to put that shit on a hold before everything did. Playing guitar, you know, I used to get really high and drinking, and I'd play electric guitar, and I had to just stop doing that for a little while. I have no problems with it now. I actually enjoy it quite a bit. It's one of these things that I can do to get out of my own head, and we need that. Like, that's what I drank and used for, was to just remove myself from my daily life. And, you know, we find other stuff for that in sobriety. Understanding the illness of alcoholism and drug abuse, same fucking thing as far as I'm concerned. There's two parts of that. One's physical and one is in my brain. It's mental. when I take a drink, I automatically go to the other side of the chart, which means that I want more. I always want more. I'll have one, it makes me want two more. I'll have two, it makes me want to have four more. And I'll just keep drinking until either the money's gone, the bar's closed, or, usually it's one of those two. And once I start drinking, I'm on the phone with my Coke dealer automatically, and I know that from my good step one work, which is identifying what my patterns are, the way I drank, the way I used. I never really knew that before until I did this work in steps. So what I like to do, and I understood that, yes, this is the issue. When I'm not engaged in drinking or using, I'm thinking about how am I going to do this? It's a lot of work being an alcoholic and an addict. Like a lot of fucking work. It's so much easier now not having to worry about that, where my next drink's coming from, and the consequences of not drinking and not using is, I'm going to have more money available. I'm going to be reliable. My word is going to start carrying some weight eventually. But again, the main idea is to keep my stress level lower so that, I don't think that reaching for a drink is a good option. So one of the ways that I used to do things was, and I still do it today, I'll come up with a list of what frustrates me in my life today. And that can be anything around my house that bothers me, or if I'm in a relationship with some people who are not good for me or negative, that's where I can change. I can change that. That's what I'm in control of, is who I hang out with. People, places, things I don't have control over, but I have control over who I choose to associate with and where I choose to associate. I've seen relapses happen where a friend of mine used to have breakfast every morning at a bar, at his bar where he used to frequent, and he likes to keep in touch with the owners and stuff. And it's just like, look, how good for your sobriety is it to be eating bacon and eggs, staring at a wall of fucking booze, and smelling the fucking bar smell of spilt drinks, and I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. Why would you put yourself in that situation? So, what do you need to change? That's definitely something you need to change. You need to look at the way you were. And, money was a big trigger for me. I couldn't, and I had to get some help from my mom. I gave her all my money. I said, just give me enough, keep me in smokes and rent, and make sure my bills are paid, and I'm going to give you my money for a little while. And I had to do that until I got a better grip on sobriety and living sober. I had never done that before. I didn't know how to fucking live without alcohol or drugs. It was my coping mechanism. So getting back to this frustration list, and again, I do it today. I figure out what it is. I'll review I did one at the end of 2025. So about a month ago, I wrote down things that are bothering me, things that irritate me. And it's a good exercise to do, because you can pick off these things and it's like, okay, well, that's done. So now this is no longer bothering me. Now my life is going to get better exponentially. You don't have to change everything overnight, but there's certain things in early sobriety that you do. You got to change everything pretty much. But in sobriety, after you've got some time under your belt, you can pick away at one thing. And I heard this said at my first sponsor told me, it said, look, you got to change everything, but you're not going to change, 180 degrees. You're not going to completely turn around. All you're going to do is you're going to change one thing. It's going to put you off in another direction slightly. You change something else, it goes more. Change something else, you goes more. So all these things that you put into place in your life that are good for you and make you change, it's going to push the needle. And your destination is going to be a completely different place after time. You know, that's what working the steps is all about as well. You know, you do this work, you start recognizing where you're being selfish, where you're being greedy, where you're being, you know, not humble, and your ego is like, this is below me or whatever. You start recognizing that, and then you can do some stuff to change that. But nothing comes fast. And this is all little incremental things that are done. You know, and the steps are great for that, because at the end of the steps, you've now changed, like, you know, you're like maybe a 90% change. So you're going off in that direction instead of straight up to where you were going. And the destination is death, you know, jail or hospital or a mental institution. Now you're off in a different direction. And you're going to find, and if you're anything like me, it was like, I would always ask myself, so now what? I'm sober, and life is going to be, you know, in churches and basements of fucking, you know, community centers for the rest of my life. But the reality is, I do this 3 times a week. So I spend 3 hours out of 168 hours there are in a week to let me do whatever else I want to do. So I do this little thing. I get all of this other shit. I got all my relationships back. People like me now, you know. People respect, and they'll ask my opinion on stuff. And it's like, wow, okay. When that first starts happening, it's like, well, what are you asking me for? What the fuck do I know? But as time goes on and you start committing and following through on what you say, your integrity gets larger. So now it's like you get self-confidence under your belt. Now it's like, okay, maybe my opinion does matter to people. As alcoholics and addicts, we've been through a lot of shit. We've been usually on the wrong side of situations like owing money. You know, we have that experience, drinking and driving, dealing with the legal system. We have all this experience that we can pass on to maybe somebody, now that we're past this, that we could pass on to somebody who's maybe going through it and say, okay, here's what you need to do. Go talk to this person, go do this, do some volunteer work before you go to court, all that sort of stuff. It's, you know, we have that. We have paid the price to get to where we are through really negative experiences, you know, and so we have that to offer people. And once you start giving that shit away and giving some advice to somebody that it can help them, it's a small little thing that you can do that will raise your level of how you look at yourself. And, you know, once you start doing that enough, you change. You start saying, okay, my opinion can help people. And you look at life through that lens for a little while. And then that's the way that my life is now. What can I do to help this person? And that's what I ask myself, you know. If you're resentful at somebody, you know, instead of thinking about that person or that issue, you can maybe pray for them, or you can be grateful that you're not that person. I do that one a lot. And it's like, I do that one a lot in traffic. You know, somebody's driving like an asshole. It's like, thank God I'm not in that guy's mind, you know. But hey, youth is like that. I can remember driving like that when I was 20 years old. And I was like, let's see what this baby can do. And, you know, I own the road. That's the mentality. It's a phase that we go through, you know. And I've learned to accept that sort of stuff. So hopefully this little chat has helped anybody in early sobriety. Keep doing the next right thing. But you need to work on yourself, man. You can't just stop booze and or drugs or both and expect your brain to be thinking like a sober person, because you're not. All you've done is just remove the alcohol and the drugs from escaping to where you normally escaped from. That made everything else disappear for a little while. So now you don't have that. And how do you cope? Talk to people. Talk to people who've been there before. Get a sponsor. You're now part of a network that you can plug into and you can solve issues. And you know what? It's, like I said, there is light at the end of the tunnel. If you do this little thing, you do the work at the start of your sobriety, it's a small amount of pay for a huge payout. Your life is going to come back. Your ambition is going to come back. Your goals and your dreams that were crushed by alcohol and drugs have now there's a new spark. And it's like, I took all the energy that I used to drink and use, and I put it all into my business. And that was my focus. Let's be successful. And you know what? I don't have to worry about things now. That paved the path to me meeting a great woman, and having a good marriage. Financial security. I'm not scared of it anymore. I'm not, where's this next bill gonna come from? How am I gonna pay this? I don't have to worry about shit like that, because the consequence of doing the next right thing and just spending those 3 hours every week has eliminated any of those issues. So financial insecurity, no problem. I'm now present to do jobs, and you can too. It will bring you, it'll bring back any ambitions that you lost and were crushed by booze and drugs. So hang in there. There is hope. And, I'm in this with you. I am in the trenches with everything. It's a little easier for me because I've done the work. But I would suggest get a sponsor, start doing step work, because that's the way you're going to change your mind. Your wires right now are all fucking crossed because that's the way you're used to operating. Time to start snipping some fucking bad connections, and the only way to do that is through the steps. So hang in there. I'm in this with you. We're all on the same page. Paul, alcoholic addict. I'm glad we had this time together.